Starting your own practice is hard for many chiropractors. It's riddled with both struggles and successes. But here at the Chiropractic Philanthropist, we make it easy by having chiropreneurs and entrepreneurs share their struggles and lessons learned in life and business so that you don't have to make the same mistakes. And now here's your host, Dr. Ed Osborne.
Did you know that 51% of adults want to lose weight? This means the market for weight loss is 72 times the size of the chiropractic market, and ChiroThin gives you the ability to tap into and capture part of that for your practice. That's why ChiroThin is the weight loss cash and new patient machine. To get more information or to test ChiroThin in your office, go to chirothin.com and click on the pricing tab.
All right, TCP listeners, I have an incredible guest today, and that is actually Dr. Jason Strotheide. Dr. Jason, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Dr. Ed. How about yourself?
I'm amazing. This is take two. We'll let everyone know.
Yes, for sure. Technical difficulties.
Hey, this is life. This is the virtual reality life, the virtual life. So for those who don't know who you are, why don't you go ahead and share a little bit about who you are and how you became a leader in our profession today?
No, absolutely no worries. So Jason Strotheide, 1993, grad of Logan. Actually, Dr. Ed, yesterday was my 26th anniversary of graduating and becoming a licensed chiropractor or diplomaed chiropractor. Graduate of Logan, second generation chiropractor, sixth in my family. Had multiple high volume chiropractic, subluxation focused chiropractic practices in the St. Louis metropolitan area. But then I always jokingly said I was actually like the straightest or most subluxation based mixer, if we want to use that chiro term, right, that you would ever come across. So subluxation was the cornerstone of my practice. But then I realized that there were things that I could be doing that definitely were not chiropractic, but fit perfectly within the chiropractic paradigm, the three pillars of chiropractic, the three T's, that would help me help my patients at a higher level. And when I say help them at a higher level, like to me, what that means, Dr. Ed, is that, we're going to help reduce their physical stress, and we're going to help reduce their chemical stress. We're going to help reduce their emotional stress. And by doing that, we are going to help them, if we can educate them and get them to resonate with the concepts of wellness, get those subluxations corrected, do it as fast as possible, as inexpensively as possible, and help them maintain that healthy chiropractic lifestyle long term. That was really the focuses of my practice. Did that for, 23 years. Practices were still growing. I started ChiroThin and its parent company, ChiroNutraceutical, back in June 10th, 2010 was our start date. And really had been for a while. You know how it goes. I mean, everybody out there that has multiple businesses and multiple streams of incomes know how it goes. You have this, which is your main thing, and then you start something over here, and as time it grows up. And basically I had two significantly sized businesses, and I really got really intent. I spoke to my office manager that had been with me for 14 years, or my facilities manager for my clinics. And I'm like, I'm like, in the office is one day a week. Am I helping things by coming in or hurting things by coming in? And she pretty much looked at me, and I love her to death for saying this. She goes, the worst thing you do for these practices right now is actually show up. And I went, fair enough. She goes, it's a distraction. Patients are waiting. Staff won't come to me with questions. So at that point, I made the decision to still keep the practices, but really run them remotely. I had my management team in place. It was really a learning time for me on delegation, which has always been one of my huge issues. But so ChiroThin continued to grow, practices continued to grow. And I got to the point where I just I couldn't serve two masters and give each of them the intent, the intensity, and the respect that they deserved. And as somebody who had never visioned not being a chiropractor, multi-generational, I mean, I bought my first practice, I actually bought from my father. He started it in 1964, right? Same location, same building. The office, actually back in like the early 60s, It was a home office. Like when I was born, I was taken from the hospital to the, back in the 60s, home office that was now my original office. So there's like all this history, and I wrestled with it and I struggled with it. But I finally came to the decision that yes, I needed to sell the practices to focus on developing and basically give all my interest to ChiroThin, ChiroNutraceutical, because my impact that I can reach from a international health and wellness standpoint, the number of people that I can help is exponentially larger by focusing on ChiroThin and ChiroNutraceutical than it is on what I could do within my practices. So it was really on the United States, on North America, and eventually we're working on some other things on a global scale, and that's where we got to where we are today.
Yeah, beautiful. I mean, this is actually a message that I needed to hear today.
Awesome.
So it's like the chasing of two rabbits, right? Mm-hmm. It's the diversion of energy. How many of us as doctors do this, right? So yeah, I really like this conversation. This is probably, hopefully, that the listeners today are getting exactly the message inside of this that you're projecting as well. So yeah. let me ask you this. I mean, one of the things that we love to do here is as chiropractors is we post quotes and memes and all these different things. Like, do you have any words of positivity, affirmation, a quote that really has meaning to you and your life and your business?
The first and most important one to me is ready, fire, aim. I think most people have it backwards. They've heard it as ready, aim, fire. This is something that at our last ChiroThin forum that we had last year, we do an annual event internationally for all of our doctors to fly into. And it was something that I really tried to get people to understand and resonate with, which is done is better than perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, you and Ed, this, I know this, people that have had success with developing big businesses while running other big businesses, what we understand is done is better than perfect. And I think as a profession, as chiropractors, from a good standpoint, we're perfectionists. We like things to be just right. We want to make sure we have it teed up, right? And we know exactly how it's going to go. But at the end of the day, what I need to do when I have something that I feel very strongly about, that I know is going to help a ton of people, it's going to help my family, it's going to help my finances, it's going to help practices. If I delay and wait for it to be 100% perfect, it's never going to launch, because nothing in life is ever perfect. So ready, fire, aim. And what I mean by that is, look at software companies.
Yeah.
When they first release a software, is it the final version?
No,
it gets released in beta, right? And that's for the early adapters who go, I want this, and they give them a little special something. But that company understands that the way things move, the speed that things move these days, if you delay, you're going to be left in the dust, or you need to go. Jokingly, I'm a little bit embarrassed, but jokingly, when ChiroThin first started, right, we were known, and I mean known for the typos in our instructional materials. It was so funny. It was really like when we got to the point where corporately we could hire, that we could corporately afford to hire a true professional proofreader, right? It was like, oh my God, this is so great. But yeah, for those first 2 or 3 years, man, we were known for typos, and we were like, man, thank you so much for pointing out that error. We go back, we change it, and our next print run or whatever, it would be fixed. So yeah, so ready, fire, aim is one. Don't hold back. If you're passionate and feel strongly about something, go with it. The only way you're going to find out what really needs to be tweaked is by putting it out there and seeing where the disconnects are. And that's a very important thing. So as we scale up, we never want to launch something, and you know this, Ed, you never want to launch something to 250 or 300 businesses or clients at once. You want to do a soft launch to 5, 10, 15, or 20, figure out where those bugs are, and then you go from beta to version 1. Mm-hmm. And then you go, and you expand the number of people, and you go to version 1.5, and then you go to version 2, and that's how you do it. And then the other quote, which I think we've all heard, the give a man a fish, you feed him for a day.
Yeah.
Right. Teach him to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. Most people have never heard the rest of that quote, and I don't even know that it really exists, but it's something that I made up. And that is, but what I can't do is make you pick up the fishing pole. And if you don't pick up that fishing pole, you're still going to be hungry at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know? And so like, that's one of the things, like whether it's practice, it's what you do, it's what I do, it's what we do with our ChiroThin clients. Success leaves clues, right? I mean, it's like, the whole reason I started looking at diversifying businesses is I realized that every family in Missouri that had generational wealth had multiple streams of income that were not related to each other. And I've been in and out, and, ChiroThin's my main venture right now, but I'm involved in other things that are not related to the chiropractic industry, But what you have to do is, it's like, I want success leave clues. Everything that we have, everything that we do, everything that you do is like turkey. It's like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. I'm teaching you to fish. But Ed, let me ask you this. Have you ever had a client, let's take 2 clients. One takes and they listen, they watch, and they do, right? They're picking up that fishing pole and they experience success. Mm-hmm. And then there's those other people that they've attended the same workshops, they've attended the same seminars, they've attended the same focus groups, they've had the same coaching phone call, yet 3 months, 4 months into it, they're like, well, gee, Dr. Ed, oh no, it just doesn't seem to be working. And there's 2 common threads. I mean, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
And there's 2 common threads to that. One is they either didn't pick up the fishing pole, they knew how to do everything, but they didn't pick up the pole and they didn't put the line in the water. It ain't ever going to work. It's never going to turn out good. Or number 2, they fell into the trap that and this is going to maybe be a little bit of a lightning rod statement. That's one of the things, I don't know. I know you're known for it. I don't know if you know I'm known for it. I'm kind of a bomb thrower every now and then, right? So one of the problems that we have in chiropractic is a lot of us like to think we're the smartest guy in the room.
Yes.
And instead of taking something that has been like, instead of taking your systems and following them because they've been proven dozens and hundreds of times and going, this works, there's always that group of people that takes a look at it and they're like, well, I like this, but and maybe instead of doing that, if I could, you're laughing because it's spot on true.
It's true.
It is. If I could just maybe put my own spin on it, then I'm going to resonate better with it and it's going to work better. And guess what? At the end of that 3 or 4 month period, you're still getting the phone call, Dr. Ed, I'm doing everything you said to do, but it's just not working. And you go, okay, well, tell me how you did this. Well, I did this, 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 and this. And I changed, whoa. What do you mean you changed this to that? That's the disconnect. And I'm telling you, I learned that early on, probably 1995 with the practice manager. I started in practice in 93, May 1st, 93. Practice management group. I'm sitting there and my back then, nobody called themselves coaches, right? My consultant was like, how come your stats aren't going up? I'm like, dude, I don't know. I'm freaking doing everything exactly the way I'm supposed to do it. And he was like, all right, role play this with me. And I got like 4 sentences into it. And he looks at me and goes, what the hell was that? And I'm like, well, that's it. He was like, no. He goes, that's not it. That's your version of it. And he said, success leaves clues. He said, you do he goes, Jason, this has worked in hundreds, if not thousands of practices. It's tested, it's proven, it's tweaked. Do me a favor. Go back to your practice, and between now and our next face-to-face, which is 6 weeks, do it the way that I showed you how to do it. And then dude, I came back 6 weeks later. I was like, holy crap. And that's where I learned it. So, yeah. Ready, fire, aim. And I can teach you to fish, but if you don't pick up the fishing pole, you're still going to be hungry at the end of the day.
I love it. I'm kind of laughing because it's so like, even what we have one of the coaches who are inside it, I call her the laptop lifestyle mentor. She actually mentors me.
Got it.
But she was relaunching something in her own online space. And right. I said, look, I would suggest you do it this way. And she decided, well, I'm going to do it this way. And then she did a training inside of our group, just saying like, I think it was like, just do what Ed says. Cause it didn't work. And so I'm pulling from what you're saying here too, is I wrote down, follow the leader. Yeah. Like, just follow the leader.
Yep.
Like follow, like in the inner circle with Russell, like Russell Brunson, it was just like, do what Russell says.
Yeah.
And success leaves clues. I mean, all of this is perfect. And I'm sure a lot of doctors need to hear this. And one of the other things I'm going to recommend too is like if you're struggling and you're a doctor that's listening and you're hearing this, you can take what we're saying here, but you also do need to have someone to guide you. You need a mentor, right? You need to be part of a group, like here's one of the things I've noticed, and I'm kind of going off script here, is like with ChiroThin, I find like you have a real culture that you've built within the people that are part of your crew. It's not just a system.
They're my family.
Yeah.
They are literally my family.
Yeah. And you take care of your family.
I'll fall on the sword for my family.
I get that from you. Yeah. That's awesome. Okay. So now at this moment, we usually talk about struggles. Now, is there a struggle personally or professionally, a point in your life where you ate the crap sandwich and you just extracted something from that and you applied it to your business? Like, has it always been really like an up, like trajectory for you, or was there ever any time or struggle?
Oh, come on. Like, do you only want one or do you want like two or three?
Give me like the one that you're just like right now, the sizzler, you got to drop it.
Okay. Invest in yourself.
Okay.
And anything that you're invested in, make sure you're the guy that always has control of the flow of money.
Was there a time where you were like, hey, I wasn't really in control of the money?
I'm going to tell you right now, I was an investor in a startup, a healthcare startup, with probably my best friend and another person. They were two managing partners. There was a couple of other partners in it. And after the forensic auditing was done, right? I mean, that should tell you right there, right? After the forensic auditing was done, what was uncovered was there had been two totally separate sets of books, right? The accounting firm was keeping two separate sets of books. The head of the accounting firm was related to my best friend, one of my best friends, good enough, Ed, to where I would have considered them being godparents, he and his wife, godparents for my children.
Wow.
And what I found out at the end of all of this, after this whole thing unwound, was that myself and one other person were the only two funders of this venture, even though that was not how it was supposed to be. And literally every time that I put money in, within 48 hours, that money was taken back out and it was used to buy personal luxury items. End of the day, I had $300,000, $400,000 that I had been defrauded of. Anybody that, like going back, like, okay, so like, if we have even halfway good relationships with our parents, like men, we're going to rely on our dads. Like my dad is like my hero, right? And my dad's 77, grew up in, government housing and basically turned himself into like this really self-made, super fabulous businessman, right? So I look up to my dad to this day. And, and honestly, he gave me a compliment about a year ago. He's like, he goes, I'm just going to tell you, he goes, you're like 10 times the businessman that I ever was. Wow. And like to hear that from my dad, it was like, I like almost like broke down in tears. Right. But, so I'm like, my wife's like, like, you need to talk to your dad. I'm like, Shannon, I can't, I'm embarrassed. I'm like, I'm too good of a businessman to have had like people steal this money from me. She's like, you got to tell your dad, you got to tell your dad. And she's like, just get it off your chest to him. And it took me about a month. And I finally called him one day. I'm like, hey, Dad. He's like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, listen, I got something. I need to just like, I need your advice. And I said, I should have called you a month ago, but this is what's going on. And after I told him what had happened, he kind of like laughed at me, right? And he goes, welcome to the club. He goes, it's your first time. He said, but if you are a mover and shaker and you are starting businesses and you're partnering with people to start businesses and you're in and out and you're looking for, when do you monetize things? He goes, it's your first time. He goes, it most likely will not be your last. He said, you write the loss off on your taxes and you move on. He said, but son, if you're going to be one of the main investors in anything, you have to be at least partly in control of the flow of money. because when you are, the thing that just happened to you can no longer happen.
Wow.
So that was like a huge learning experience for me. Like, you know, I'm my best bet, right?
Yes.
You're your best bet. There is nobody that worries more or is as concerned about your success, your moral compass, your ethical compass than you.
Yeah.
Anything that I want to be involved with, I want to be passionate about. Like, I'm my best bet for success. And that's what I think a lot of people need to realize is like, everything that you do, you're investing in you. You're investing, you know, like personally, like it's your brand. It's the revenue. It's what you can push back into marketing. It's what you can push back into procedures. You know, if you are your most sacred investment, then you need to be investing in yourself on an ongoing basis. If I want my stock portfolio to grow, what do I need to do on a regular and consistent basis? I got to put money into it. Yep. If I'm my best investment and I am my greatest chance for success, I need to be continually putting money into that investment. And that investment in that scenario happens to be me and my business. It's you and your business. That's like the truth bomb. But learn from me, because I'm the guy that got into something figuring I could trust somebody because, you know, we had that relationship and the dude stole hundreds of thousands of dollars from me.
I'm making a note right now. I love, you know what the best thing about TCB podcast is? I get free coaching for like 30 minutes.
Exactly.
It is. It really is. And so, I mean, and I literally just like make notes and I make the, you know, and this is part of the process is investing inside of yourself. I also wrote something down here that I've been telling a lot of my clients and, you know, the number one principle in business, I don't know, I'm not going to swear, but is like, I'll say, give a crap.
Yeah.
Like you just got to care.
You do.
Like you got to care.
And if you don't care, everybody knows it.
Oh, yeah. It's like, and care about like your clients, care about like, or customers, certainly, but then, you know, also care for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, it's both. Like it's give a crap.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a great discussion, but I want to get into,
we'll have to go offline and continue this conversation at some point.
Here's what I want to do. I want you to share a little bit about, you know, the culture that you've built within ChiroThin. I want you to also, something you said in the previous recording, I don't think we mentioned before, because we lost our connection, was you said you were the straightest mixer that you knew. Yeah. So tell us, like, because that's the biggest thing that I see. And I struggled with this when I wanted to take something that was like a different modality. And I considered myself a very straight chiropractor. Right. And I had to really kind of like conceptualize or really just mentally get around that. Like, you know, am I really a straight chiropractor or is it all about delivering results for people? And so tell us a little bit about that straightest mixer that you know, but also like the chiro culture that you've built and helping so many doctors with that.
Sure. So straightest mixer that I know and that I've come across in this profession. Subluxation, and these days and at the schools I call it the S word. You know, it's like a 4-letter word, right? In most of the chiropractic schools these days. But subluxation was the foundation stone of my practices. Everything that went on within the walls of my practice was based around detection, correction, stabilization, and prevention of subluxation. Mm. I was above, down, inside out. I was innate. I was subluxation. I was safety pin cycle. I was all of it. Everything was, your kid's turning blue because he's not getting oxygen. On your way to the hospital, bring him by and I need to check his atlas.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like, don't go to the hospital first. Come here and let me check his atlas. If he needs to get adjusted, we'll get adjusted and then go to the hospital, right? I mean, it was that. But early on in my career, Ed, I realized that even though that was me, I had this kind of like this epiphany, right? Which is, am I a chiropractor for me? Like, am I doing this for me or am I doing it for my patients? Okay. Why am I a chiropractor? Like, that's like, it was something that I tell people, you have to remember your why. Like, I mean, there is a specific reason you're a chiropractor. There's a specific reason why everybody's a chiropractor, right? So, like, what is my why? And my why was to help as many sick people as possible experience the benefits of true health by the reduction of subluxation. I got my first adjustment when I was 2 years old. Didn't know any different. I never went to a medical doctor. But as I evolved as a young adult, I learned this is what was going on in conversations with my dad and other relatives. Like this, I think I'm the 6th chiropractor in our family. We got like 7 or 8 now. But I really had this epiphany, like, am I doing this for me, or am I doing what I do for other people? And for me, it wasn't about me. Like, I'm doing this to help sick people. If that's what I'm doing, then I need to start investigating and be real with myself and go, there are probably other things out there that are not chiropractic. And that's a big issue, Ed. I think a lot of people have this impression, and there's a lot of chiropractors out there that don't delineate, even if they are a mixer like I was, right? They don't delineate what's chiropractic and what's not. And what that does is that creates confusion in the market space, because the general public, if they come in and you're doing therapy, or you're doing chiro thing, you're offering weight loss, or you're doing rehab, or you're doing acupuncture, if the chiropractor doesn't do a good job of being very clear in his communication on what is chiropractic and what is not chiropractic within their practice, then the general public gets the message that everything that goes on within the walls of that building is actually chiropractic. Where in my practice, like, even the physical plants were set up to where there could be no confusion. So, like, chiropractic happened over here, and in a totally separate office, everything else happened over here. We would talk about subluxation, correcting the subluxation, and the adjusting that we're going to do, and the patient education. And then before I would ever do anything else, I would communicate with that patient on a way that I'd say, listen, Ed, so this is what we're doing to correct your spine, get it strong, get it stable. But then there's other things over here that are not chiropractic. And I would literally tell them, it's not chiropractic. But what it is, and the reason I want it, is going to help me get you better faster. It's going to help me keep you better longer. It's going to help you save time. It's going to help you save money. And most importantly, at the end of everything, you are going to have a higher degree of health and wellness in as little time as possible than it would be if I didn't do it. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
And what I realized, I mean, the other struggle, I mean, let's just call the elephant out in the room, Ed, right? The other struggle is I've struggled with weight issues my entire life. I mean, my entire life. I always jokingly say, even as a kid, I actually played collegiate hockey. I mean, I was a high level athlete. You would have looked at me when I was in the shape of my life and gone, there's no way this guy's a high level athlete. I mean, you just wouldn't have done it. I remember as a kid, and in the Midwest, we had when I was growing up, there was a chain of stores that I would equate to kind of like Walmart these days, but it was called Venture. Okay. And I can remember as a kid going into Venture, and my mom would have to take me to the Husky section to buy my clothes, right? Well, what I figured out at about age 22 was Husky is actually code, and it's code for fat kid. Okay, so I don't say that in a body shaming way.
It's true.
One of the things that you talk about is like, what are some struggles that you've had and how has it helped you, right? So my issues with weight, and just so you know, at one point, Ed, I mean, I'm 5'8". At one point, 5 years ago, I mean, I was running ChiroThin. I was up to I was just a smidge under 300 pounds, and I'm out of ethics. I'm not aligned with what I'm promoting. And I went through a pretty significant transformation. I lost on ChiroThin, actually. I like you, I needed a coach, right? So I hired a coach, a ChiroThin office that ran me through the program. And in about 4.5 months, I lost 85 pounds. Wow. And here I am 4-5 years later. And now I swing within 10 to 15 pounds of that 80. So I'm 5 years later. So it's like, okay, it's one thing to keep it off. It's one thing to lose it, another thing to keep it off. But I think that struggle, that challenge that I've had internally, right, is something that has really helped me build the culture and the family that we've built with ChiroThin. Because a person who has never had weight issues in their life will never understand what it's like to have weight issues. Don't use that as an excuse or a crutch, but it allows me to, like, that psychology of somebody who's had this struggle their whole life, that goes into everything that we do. Because prior to, you know, developing the formula and starting, dude, I had done Weight Watchers, I had done Jenny Craig, I'm a lifetime member of Jenny Craig, Body for Life, which, you know, dude, I had done all of them, thrown away thousands of dollars, and I went, what's the missing piece? And it was that investigation that led me to the creation of the formula, the creation of the company, and that's, but I'm cognizantly aware of, like, what that end user consumer is, how they feel, what they look at, what they've tried, and everything we do. And I try to communicate that to all of our clients and go, listen, this is where your patients are. We have systems, like turkey, it's like plug and play, right? Success leaves clues. How you address that. So like, we build this thing, like, I want to protect chiropractic, right? So I have that experience, that struggle. But then I also realized, even years ago, Ed, that there are a lot of practices that are struggling, right? I mean, it's not getting easier to maintain success in chiropractic. It's just not. So what I realized was the market size, you know, like, what is the market size of weight loss compared to the market size of chiropractic? It's massive. It's if you leave the wellness component out, the market size of weight loss is 72 times that of chiropractic. Utilization, 29% of U.S. adults, and I know you're in Canada, but 29% of adults, you know, are actively trying to lose weight on any given day. The average market size of chiropractic on a daily utilization is about 0.4% of the U.S. adult population sees a chiropractor on any given day. Percentage of U.S. adults that want to lose weight is 51%. So that market size is so much larger than chiropractic. And yet, it fits so perfectly within the chiropractic paradigm of health. I mean, there's no refuting. And there was somebody on one of our Facebook ads that we run, you know, towards new chiropractor acquisition. There was a chiropractor that I respect very highly. I love his work. Remember, I'm the straightest mixer you'll ever find, right? He put some comment up about, you know, well, maybe you should just offer physiotherapy, and maybe you ought to do, you know, nutritional IVs. And I commented back, I said, I understand where you're coming from, but that's not who we are as a company. I'm not saying confuse the message of chiropractic. What I'm saying is chiropractic is chiropractic. Weight loss is weight loss. But the two fit together so well, it's almost impossible. Now, they go together like peanut butter and jelly, or sushi and soy sauce. There's no refuting the research out there that proves that weight loss reduces physical stress on the body.
Yes.
There's no refuting, because there's so much peer-reviewed published research out there that losing weight, reducing adipose, reduces chemical stress and actually causes a flip. You know, the heavier you are, the more IL-6, which is a pro-inflammatory cell signaling protein, and TNF-A, tumor necrosis factor alpha, which are both pro-inflammatory things. As you lose weight, those two go down, but then as you lose weight, the less adipose you have, the more IL-10, interleukin-10 you actually produce, and interleukin-10 is a pro-anti-inflammatory component that your body produces. So by helping a person reduce fat, reduce adipose, we're able to reduce the systemic chemical stress on the body and actually move them into a anti-inflammatory or a non-inflamed state. And as we know, 80% of disease processes in the United States are pro-inflammatory. So that's a good thing. So we check the box on physical, we check the box on chemical, and now let's not even talk, I mean, like the research on emotional stress, like how much better do I feel about myself now at, 230 5 years later than I did at 300?
Yeah, clearly.
So it fits so perfectly. So when you have something that fits perfectly with the model of chiropractic, and its market size is 72 to 156 times larger, and there's less competition within your community, they go together. And what can happen is you can actually experience more new chiropractic patients that come in because of weight loss and that service that your practice offers than actually come in just for chiropractic. And I know it's going to be hard for a lot of chiropractors to wrap their head around, but it just is what it is. And when you have a system like ChiroThin that works, you have credibility in that person's mind. Part of our system is giving our offices the scripting on, like, here's the visit that you introduce chiropractic. Because 70% of if they market weight loss, in addition to chiropractic, separate ads, don't confuse the message.
Yeah.
What they're going to find is 70% of their new weight loss clients will not be existing chiropractic patients. Mm-hmm. And that's a huge number.
That's huge.
That's how we build the value, and just, man, doing the right thing by people.
Yeah. I clearly remember, I mean, it's been a while since I've been in practice, but I clearly remember having those patients who would come in on a regular, like, they were like devout, like they believed in chiropractic. They experienced the results, but they would come in and, they were overweight, like they were obese. I remember this now as you tell the story, is like working with them and adjusting and going, like, am I really serving this person by not having this discussion?
Right.
And
the recidivism rate with weight loss is horrible, because most people, they're going to turn to the internet and they're going to try the cabbage soup diet, or, just like, you can't people, and that's the other thing, like, people need structure, right? Like, accountability is key. So, like, ChiroThin wasn't designed to be a, like, here, buy this and go on. I mean, it's a part of the agreement that the doctor makes with us is to manage and supervise that patient through that 6-week cycle. It's not because if all that I do is sell you a bottle of something and send you on your way, guess what's going to happen? It's not going to work. So really what we want to do is we're based on those 4 gold standards of successful long-term weight loss, which is behavior modification, learning to make better choices; dietary modification, learning how to eat foods that promote, what I call lean, green, and clean foods that help promote health and wellness instead of long-term disease and illness; the appropriate type and timing of exercise; and nutritional supplementation. That's what ChiroThin is built around. And we have some proprietary and unique ways to go about it. So.
Okay, beautiful. All right, listeners. So head over to thechiropracticphilanthropist.com. We're going to have a webpage dedicated to our discussion with Dr. Jason today. You can actually head over and check out chirothin.com. Doc, I imagine there's a contact page. There's definitely information on there.
Yeah. So on chirothin.com, Ed, there's a tab that says pricing, right? Like, so we only sell all of our supplements. ChiroThin or any of our other supplements are only sold to chiropractors. Mm-hmm. So we don't sell to acupuncturists, retail stores. We don't sell online. It's chiropractors only. This was designed to help chiropractors. Because of that, we actually vet that a person who wants information isn't an actual chiropractor. So they go to chirothin.com, they click on the pricing tab. There's going to be just some information they need to submit. And we take that information. We actually verify that they're a chiropractor through the FCLB, the Federal Chiropractic Licensing Bureau. Make sure they're a licensed chiropractor. And if we are, then we will send them an email that says, here's information, here's access to the data, et cetera. And that's how we roll. We're very protective about keeping this within the chiropractic family.
All right, Doc, I'm going to put you into the TCP time machine. Okay, I'm going to send you back to a younger version of yourself. Now, this is right after you came out of chiropractic school. You have all the knowledge and experience that you have today. What would you say to that younger self?
Stop over-analyzing things. Trust your gut and do. Beautiful.
Beautiful. So I want our listeners to make sure that they actually head over to thechiropracticphilanthropist.com. Okay, again, we will have a webpage dedicated to our discussion with Dr. Jason today. All the links and resources he's provided as well. And you can connect with ChiroThin from that site as well. If you're listening on the mobile, so on through iTunes on your mobile, like 60% of the doctors are right now, you can actually expand open your show notes. You can link through right away to chirothin.com or to our website right in the show notes there as well. The URL is provided. Dr. Jason, I got to thank you for being on the show today. I love this discussion, and I always find that, everyone who comes on the show brings something that has a really unique story and brings unique value. And you certainly dropped a bunch of value bombs today. So I want to thank you for that.
I appreciate it. And it's been a pleasure. And it only took us a year to get this to actually get on camera with each other, right?
You got it. So we'll probably do this again in another year.
Love it, man. And if you want before then, just let me know. We can figure it out.
So you've heard the struggles, you've heard the successes, and this episode is done. But there's still so much more to come and so much more to learn. Head on over to the chiropracticphilanthropist.com and sign up for our newsletter, where you'll receive free practice building tips and strategies, including how to market your practice with your very own podcast and so much more. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on the Chiropractic Philanthropist.